I woke up on a normal Monday morning. Everything seemed completely fine until I noticed something strange on my way to work. Cars were stopped everywhere. Not crashed, not abandoned, just sitting there. People were still inside, but they weren't moving. I thought maybe it was some kind of accident, but when I got to work, things got even stranger. My boss, Jim, was supposedly out sick, but I saw his silhouette inside his office. Then I found my co-worker Sandy sitting at her desk. Her eyes looked wrong. They were gray, almost like static on an old TV. Before I could call anyone, my co-workers Steve and Carol rushed over. They acted shocked, but something felt fake. They told me everything was fine and ordered me back to my desk. Then I received an email telling everyone to work from home because of bad weather. Except there was barely any rain. Something was happening. I left and went to a coffee shop owned by an old friend named Larry. When I walked inside, I saw another worker with the same strange, static-looking eyes. Larry tried to convince me everything was normal, but he knew something was wrong. He pulled me aside and whispered, "Mac, you need to act normal. They're watching." He told me not to ask questions. He told me people disappear when they find out too much. Before I could get my answers, something hit me in the back of my head. I woke up the next morning in my bed. At first, I thought it was all a dream, until I found dried blood on the back of my head. I knew something had happened. I went back to work, hoping someone would explain everything, but everyone acted like nothing happened. Sandy was completely normal. She didn't remember anything. Then, I went back to the coffee shop to find Larry, but when I asked for him, the workers looked confused. They said, "We don't have anyone named Larry working here." That's when I realized something. Whatever happened that day, everyone forgot, except me. I've been hiding in my house ever since, because I don't know who I can trust anymore. And I'm starting to think, maybe I'm next. The emergency call. I used to work as a 911 dispatcher. Most calls were predictable. Car accidents, medical emergencies, domestic disputes. But one night, a teenage girl called. She was whispering, "Someone's in the house." I asked for her address. She gave it to me, and suddenly went silent. I could hear her breathing. Then I heard something else. A man. He was screaming in the background. I immediately sent police to the house and told her to stay quiet. She didn't answer. I kept asking if she was still there. Nothing. Then, after several seconds, I heard her scream. The call suddenly disconnected. I tried calling back. Nothing. The police arrived only minutes later, but when they entered the house, they couldn't find anyone else inside. There were no broken windows, no damaged doors, no sign that anyone had forced their way in. The girl was dead. The strangest part was that the officers couldn't explain how anyone had gotten inside. The front and back door locks had been completely melted. Not broken, melted, as if someone had pushed something extremely hot through the keyholes. But there was no fire, no weapon, no suspect. And the strangest thing, the children who were inside the house that night were completely unharmed. They had somehow made it to the neighbor's house. When the police asked them what happened, both children gave the same exact answer. Someone had been inside their house, but neither of them could describe what that person looked like. To this day, nobody knows who was in that house, but I still think about that phone call. because right before the line went dead, I heard the girl whisper something. Not to me. She was looking at something, and she said, "You're not supposed to be here." The night before, my brother had proposed to his girlfriend, Mel. She was also pregnant. Everyone was celebrating. My parents were crying. My brother was happier than I'd ever seen him, and my sister Jane and I were genuinely happy for them. The next morning I went to work at the morgue. My receptionist handed me the keys. "Lucky 13 today," she joked. 4 bodies, 3 car accidents, and 1 heart attack. I walked into the morgue, locked the door behind me, and started working on the first body. Then I heard someone whisper my name. "Will." I looked around. Nobody was there. I figured I was just hearing things, so I smoked some weed to calm myself down and went back to work. Then I heard it again. "Will." This time I looked toward the second gurney. The sheet covering the body was slowly sliding down. I froze. First, I saw the hands, then the fingernails, then the ring. I recognized it. When the sheet finally fell away, I saw her, Jane, my sister. The entire left side of her face was horribly damaged from the car accident. Her eye hung from its socket, and part of her skull was shattered. She slowly sat up. "Will, you promised you'd always protect me. You promised you'd never leave me alone." She started moving toward me. I backed away, unable to speak. One of her legs was broken, but she kept coming. Then she collapsed onto the floor and began crawling toward me incredibly fast. I ran for the door. My foot slipped. I had stepped in her blood. I got back up and shoved the gurney into her, knocking her backward. I grabbed the door handle. It wouldn't open. Then I remembered I'd locked the door. The keys were in my backpack, on the other side of the room. Jane was almost on top of me. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my chest. I collapsed. She grabbed my hand. Her touch felt like burning coal against my skin. Then she whispered, "Don't be afraid, Will. We'll be together soon." Everything went black. I woke up in a hospital. My brother was sitting beside me. I immediately told him what had happened, but nobody believed me. A psychologist told me that the weed, combined with the shock of seeing Jane's body, had caused severe hallucinations and triggered a heart attack. I eventually agreed with their explanation because they threatened to have me committed if I kept insisting it was real. Maybe they were right. Maybe I hallucinated the entire thing. But there's one thing I still can't explain. Every time I start believing it was all in my head, I look at my hand. There's still a burn mark on it, and it's shaped exactly like fingers.